Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. In this video I will be taking a look at and discussing what real Apple company information was incorporated into the story of Inanimate Insanity. This will mainly be about the different MePhones, since a lot of real life controversies at the time around different iPhones became key aspects of these different characters. Some of these of course I see mentioned often, but I think you may be surprised to hear a few of these since I haven't really seen anyone else point them out. I will be talking about every MePhone in order, as well as any other Meeple products. Make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. MePhone 1 and MePhone 3G. These were the first MePhones, and as we can see from the flashback, their designs are pretty simple, but they still retain a personality. You may notice that MePhone 1 and 3G look quite similar, and maybe a reason this could be the case is that both real-life iPhones shared a Samsung-made chip, making them quite similar before Apple started to switch to using Apple-made chips with the 3GS. The 3GS also marks what the tech world believes is the first massive shift in quality for the iPhone, as the 3GS offered so many new features. MePhone 3GS. Honestly, there isn't too much to say about 3GS in regards to the real life lore, but trust me, it really heats up from here on out. However, there are a few things I want to mention. We see that MePhone 3GS is the first MePhone to have a mouth, and this could represent how many new features were included with the real life counterpart. We also see MePhone 3GS use the voice recording feature a lot. This feature was actually first introduced with the iPhone 3GS, so this could explain why this is the case. MePhone 4. With MePhone 4, I actually have an interesting observation about him relating to a major event that happened before the iPhone 4's launch. This could have been more of a coincidence than a planned correlation, but I still think it's super fun to think about. Basically, in April of 2010, one whole month before the iPhone 4 was meant to be released, a software engineer at Apple accidentally left a prototype of the then unknown iPhone 4 at a bar, upon which a bar regular found it and discovered it was a prototype. When this person realized this, they sold it to a news article site called Gizmodo for $5,000. Gizmodo then proceeded to post about the phone, which understandably alerted the public to this knowledge, and the post became extremely viral. Okay, you may be thinking, what does this have to do with MePhone 4? But if you think about it, it kind of mirrors how he escaped from Meeple and went on to create a famous show that loads of people watched. Kind of like how the iPhone escape created a mass amount of media coverage and news. MePhone 4S, a pretty simple entry, but the reason why MePhone 4S has Siri on him is that the iPhone 4S was the first iPhone to have this feature. This feature was also the main selling point of the 4S, with all of the adverts focusing on it. I mean, like, yeah, the S in iPhone 4S literally stands for Siri. MePhone 5. I don't think there is too much of note with MePhone 5, but he is the first MePhone to use a shockwave mouth, and this would go on to be a staple in the MePhone's designs from here on out, which could maybe be commenting on how Apple kept trying to make all of their devices have a uniform brand image, which hadn't always been the case in the past. MePhone 5S. In MePhone 5S's appearance, his whole character is basically centered around having a fingerprint scanner, and as you can probably guess, this was the main marketed feature of the iPhone 5S. MePhone 5C. A big community talking point with the iPhone 5C was the plastic shell that the phone was encased in, and we can see this feature was kept with MePhone 5C. 5C also uses Meeple maps in letter R, and this leads to both her and 5S falling to their deaths, as it's said to fly straight down. This could be making fun of Apple Maps' own system, since at the time Apple Maps was known to be very inaccurate and awful to use. A pattern you may see forming is that most of the MePhones in the show follow a pattern of having either the most popular controversy about the phone be part of them, or the biggest features of their retrospective phones being present. MePhone 6 and 6 Plus. We see these two phones in the episode Theft and Battery, and their whole appearance is basically commenting on the Bengate controversy that happened when these two phones released in real life. The Bengate controversy was that both of these phones were Bendit-like circumstances, such as being carried in a user's pocket. This is why in the show, when knife and paintbrush lightly tap these MePhones respectively, they both bend dramatically and fall off the bridge. This episode also came out only 4 months after the real life phones got released, so it was extremely topical for the time. Them being so large is also another way they mirrored the real phones, since at the time they were about 2 or 3 times larger than any iPhone that had come before. Also, since it's to do with the episode these two are in, I think I will mention the watch Cobbs talks about too, since it's to do with the Apple Watch. Basically, the whole time this watch is being talked about, Balloon is being really skeptical of its use, and the watch is basically being presented as a useless invention, which actually mirrors what the public thought of the Apple Watch at the time, since a lot of people were skeptical due to its high price and limited functionality. MePhone 7 and 7 Plus. These two MePhones only appear in the alternate dimension in season 2 episode 12, so not much is known about them, but they still do share some controversies with the real life counterparts. We see that MePhone 7, despite being better technology, glitches a lot and also performs slower. This actually lines up with the issues the actual iPhone 7 had. The iPhone 7 had an issue which was called loop disease, where the user would get a grayed out speaker button during calls as well as the freezing of the device. The performance issues were also a major controversy, as the 32GB iPhone 7 ran significantly slower than the 128GB version. MePhone X. MePhone X is currently the latest MePhone we know of to exist within the show, and this MePhone of course is based on the iPhone X. Again, MePhone X is very large, which lines up with how big of a jump the screen size was with the iPhone X. With the iPhone X, a major new feature of it was Face ID, as well as utilizing that for Memojis. The Memoji feature allowed users to use their face to track it onto an animated character to send for messages. I bring this up because it actually sounds sort of like what Toilet was doing piloting MePhone X, as MePhone X was tracking his movements and doing that in real time, much like the Memojis. The iPhone X also had two motherboards, which in a way could reflect how there was both a MePhone X in the control room with Toilet and also one that was deleting the contestants. Also, in episode 16, Cobb says,
"The more I kept making new products, and the more everyone kept not wanting them."
This actually kind of reflects Apple's financial position a bit after the iPhone X released, as in 2018 Apple would see a significant sales slowdown as Apple announced a 15% year-on-year downturn of sales, missing MePhones. You may have noticed that there's actually quite a lot of iPhone generations up until the iPhone X that don't have Inanimate Insanity counterparts. These phones are iPhone 6s, iPhone 8 and the iPhone SE. They should exist since all of these phones came out before the iPhone X, but they are nowhere to be seen of as of now. I would like to say that the iPhone X would be the definitive last iPhone to have a counterpart, but the existence of MeTag makes that a bit more confusing since AirTags only came out in 2021, so theoretically this puts all of the other iPhones up until April 2021 as a possibility. Other Meeple products. There are 4 characters who I have not talked about which are also Meeple products with real life counterparts, these being Macintosh, MeBook, MePad and MeTag. Macintosh. This is what we can assume was the first Meeple product ever since he is based on the original Apple Macintosh 128K. His digital face kind of reflects the happy and sad face that the Macintosh could make on startup sequences. MeBook. We see MeBook very briefly during season 2 episode 8 and he is based on an iBook clamshell 3G. I don't have too much to say here honestly. MePad. Something that not everyone knows is that MePad is based off the first iPad mini and not the first iPad in general. Despite how important he is as a character, I don't actually have that many facts about him. MeTag. The newest Meeple product and presumably the last one too, they are based off an AirTag which came out in 2021. These are used to track people and items, so I think this is why it makes sense MeTag could do what they did in episode 4. Whilst researching, I did potentially find something kind of funny. This screenshot appears during the Future Is So Yesterday music video, and when you look up the MePhone 1 specs against the actual iPhone 1, they line up perfectly, but when you do the same with the MePhone X, it doesn't line up at all. I then decided to look up the specs that were on the screenshot, and they're actually all the specs to the iPhone 15 Pro Max, which seems like a really weird choice to me and would be kind of hard to do on accident, but I'm not sure if this is anything, but I thought I'd point it out here anyway since I found it interesting. This brings me to the end of this essay and analysis. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope it gave you new insight into what real life factors may have had an influence in Inanimate Insanity's story. Thank you and goodbye.